Welcome back, everyone, to the Late Night Review. And I'm going to talk about a movie that I really love. It's one of my very favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies of all time. In fact, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, period. I'm talking about The Running Man. I love The Running Man. I'm not ashamed of it. I know it might be too cheesy for certain people, and it might be a little fake in terms of some of the action, some of the fighting in here, but I love this movie. I like cheese, especially 80s cheese. When I order pizza, I want extra cheese. 80s cheese is something I love. This movie is awesome to me. Think about it. Think about the story. The story was written by Stephen King. I've never read the book, but I heard that he wrote it. And I think they probably changed it a little bit, like with certain other books that he wrote for the screen. They adapted it, they changed certain things. I don't know. Perhaps other people probably know a lot more than me about that. But this movie, to me, is a classic. I really like it. Stephen King wrote the book, and I'm not sure how much they changed it for the movie. But think about this. The story is really interesting. It's fascinating. In the United States, there's a huge earthquake. And in the aftermath of that earthquake, they use the ruins to make this game show. The ruins are the backdrop of the territory, the area that they use for this game show called The Running Man. In the future, the United States is a total totalitarian state, and the media is totally controlled by the state. And people have their own opinions on how far down that road we are now. I'll leave it like that. But it's a totalitarian state, and the most popular show in the country is a show called The Running Man, where these stalkers, like hitmen with their own, and this has wrestling vibes. I have so much nostalgia for this movie. I was taken to see it at a theater when I was a kid. It was 1987 when this came out. I was watching WWF wrestling mostly, a lot of different types of wrestling, but especially WWF was my go-to. I was ate, slept, and drank wrestling. That's all I really watched, except for certain other programs on TV. And really watched a lot of movies, but in terms of television and what was coming on, it was wrestling all the time. And of course, we rented the Coliseum video tapes that I watched over and over and over again. But this has wrestling vibes to me. And the way the production is, the colors, Richard Dawson, former host of the classic Family Feud. I think he was the original host of the classic Family Feud. This is an all-star cast in here. I mean, you have Jesse Ventura, you have Jim Brown, Richard Dawson, who I already talked about. You have Mick Fleetwood, the drummer for Fleetwood Mac, is in here. You have a lot of different, and Toro Tanaka, who was in Eye for an Eye with Chuck Norris and Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman. I mean, there's so many interesting characters in here, larger than life stalkers, these guys who hunt down the contestants in this game. So the game is where there's contestants who are on death row, or they're prisoners of some sort. They're condemned to death. So they're given a chance to participate on The Running Man, a show where they have to go through 4 or 5 game plots, I think. I'd have to watch. It's been a little while since I've seen the movie from start to finish. It's one of my favorite. I saw it a million times when I was a kid. But the story is, these characters have to go through the ruins of the earthquake that took place in the United States, devastating earthquake. They have to go through the ruins, and the ruins, they're not everything doesn't look chaotic and just destroyed. They did put lights in there. They built stuff in there for the game show. They put things in there so the game is more interesting and exciting. And anyway, these condemned prisoners have a chance to fight for their lives. And if they win, they can survive. At least that's what people think. They actually kill them in secret. And this is a spoiler review. It's a movie that came out in 1987. It was pretty popular, so most people have seen it. So this is a spoiler review. Probably should have mentioned that at the beginning, but then again, almost all my videos are spoiler reviews. But anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a character named Ben Richards, who is framed for murder. and he gets forced into this game and to fight for his life against these stalkers that have gimmicks. You know, it's almost like professional wrestling where each character has their own style, their own gimmick, their character. These stalkers are unique. I mean, you have different stalkers with different abilities, different statures. You know, they're usually big and muscular and athletic. They go after the contestants, and Arnold is one of those contestants. I mean, what more can you ask for in an action movie? This movie pretty much has it all to me. I love it. I really like it. Yes, some of the fighting is fake, some of the action is fake, but what do you expect? There's a lot of cheese, but then again, I told you I like cheese. It's a very interesting movie, and they have to go through all, I think it's 4 game plots, like 3 to 5 game plots. In other words, there's different parts of this area that they use for the game that they have to get through, and they have to defeat each stalker. And it's almost like ancient Rome. I just thought about it now. It almost seems like ancient Rome where they had people in the arena, gladiators. You know, they had to go through different things, maybe fight animals, other people, gladiators. In here, there's no animals to my memory. I don't think there's any animals in here whatsoever. The only animals are on 2 legs trying to kill you when you're going through the game and you have to fight to survive. Arnold's one of the contestants. It's really fun. It's really interesting. It's really filled with action. It's not a slow pace at all from start to finish. I think everybody in here does a fun job. Richard Dawson is funny how he talks. And it's got wrestling vibes. So it came out just at the right time for me, 1987. I had this at WWF, and it just meshed together so well. And yeah, this movie is special to me. I really think it's fun. With all the stuff in there that people might criticize, with all the things in there that could be wrong with it, to me, I just have a blast. I think it's a roller coaster ride. I think it's funny. Some of the humor, some of the one-liners in here are really good. Just like they were in Commando, and just like they were in the Terminator and some other movies. Of course, nothing is iconic as I'll Be Back, but there's a lot of lines in here that are really funny, really good. A lot of scenes that are set up to be funny, and yeah, it's really one of my favorite movies. If you haven't seen it, perchance, you're in for a treat. It is a movie that I don't think will disappoint you, especially if you like futuristic movies. And this is definitely a futuristic movie. In the future, there's that big earthquake. They make the game area where the earthquake took place. They use it to their advantage. And it's like a modern day gladiatorial event, but sometimes I wonder if this movie inspired American Gladiators, because that was one of my favorite shows of all time. This came out in 1987, and I think American Gladiators came out in 1988 or 89, 90, something like that. I've never really looked into that. Don't know for sure. Always loved that show. Always loved the gladiators on there. That was really fun. So I wonder if that was inspired a little bit from The Running Man. I don't know. But yeah, this movie has all those vibes. It has all those, it reminds me of a lot of that stuff. It's interesting. It fit right in. And if you haven't seen it, I would definitely suggest checking it out, especially if you like action, futuristic movies, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. This should be right up your alley. And take a look at this. It's a classic to me. I think it's very underrated. It doesn't get anywhere near the credit it deserves. And this has been the Late Night Review. And please, I'd like to remind you to like and subscribe, share this video so other people can see this type of content. And take care, everybody, and have a good night.